listen to this. You can attend every relationship seminar, read all the self-help books, and tell yourself 1,000 times that you deserve love. But if you don't understand this one crucial thing that Carl Jung discovered, the love you seek will always remain just out of reach. Today, I'm not here to give you theories or generic advice. I'm here to give you the key, something most therapists and relationship experts never tell you about. A profound truth that will forever change how you connect with yourself and others. Are you ready to uncover it? If you're watching this, it's because something inside you already knows there's more. This isn't just about loving yourself or communicating better. It's about understanding the hidden psychological mechanism that determines every relationship in your life. By the end of this video, you won't just have a deeper understanding of why you've struggled to feel loved. You'll walk away with a clear, practical strategy to revolutionize your relationship with yourself and, as a result, with everyone around you. This will change everything about how you experience connection. First, you need to understand what Jung called the trap of seeking validation from others. We live in a world obsessed with finding the right person, someone who will make us feel whole, safe, and loved. Dating apps, romantic movies, and relationship gurus all push this message. Your happiness depends on finding that special someone. But Jung saw a simple truth. This approach creates an impossible situation. When you look outside yourself for completion, you create a psychological dependency that no relationship can actually fulfill. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if only I had someone who really got me, then I'd be happy? Or maybe you felt the excitement of a new relationship, only to find yourself, months later, feeling the same emptiness as before. Jung would say this happens because we mistake where love comes from. When you expect another person to fill your inner emptiness, you place an impossible burden on them. No one, no matter how caring, attentive, or loving, can fill a gap within yourself that you haven't addressed. The truth is that when we seek validation from others, we don't actually see them for who they are. Instead, we see them through the lens of what we need. We turn them into a solution rather than a person. This creates relationships built on unspoken expectations rather than real connection. Jung noticed that this creates a cycle of disappointment, idealization followed by letdown. We project our unmet needs onto a new partner, briefly feel the high of potential fulfillment, then inevitably face disappointment when they show up as human, with their own needs and limits. The first step toward breaking this cycle is recognizing that your ability to receive love directly matches your ability to love yourself. This isn't superficial self-love based on achievements or looks. It's about building a relationship with yourself that includes all parts of who you are, both what you show the world and what you keep hidden. This brings us to Jung's revolutionary idea of the shadow self. The shadow contains everything we've rejected about ourselves, qualities, desires, and emotions that we've decided aren't acceptable. These might include anger, vulnerability, power, creativity, or sensuality. Anything that didn't fit who we thought we needed to be. Jung discovered that what we reject in ourselves doesn't just disappear. Instead, it goes underground, operating without our awareness and mysteriously showing up in our relationships. Have you noticed repeating patterns in your relationships? Maybe you constantly attract partners who are emotionally unavailable. Or perhaps you find yourself repeatedly in relationships where you feel controlled or small. These patterns aren't accidents or bad luck. They're important clues. Jung would explain that we're unconsciously drawn to people who express parts of our shadow. If you've pushed down your own strength, you might find yourself attracted to particularly dominant people. If you've denied your need for emotional connection, you might repeatedly get involved with partners who are emotionally distant. Let's make this practical. Think about your last relationship that ended painfully. What qualities in that person initially attracted you? What aspects eventually became unbearable? There's deep wisdom in this reflection, because both what attracts you and what repels you reveal parts of yourself seeking integration. For example, if you are drawn to someone's free-spirited nature but eventually resented their unreliability, this points to a part of yourself that wants more freedom but fears the consequences of truly embracing it. Or maybe you were attracted to someone's brilliance but grew to resent their emotional coldness. This might reveal your own tendency to use your head as a shield against being vulnerable. Jung found that our relationship patterns keep repeating until we recognize and embrace these disowned parts of ourselves. Until then, we unconsciously seek in others what we haven't acknowledged within. This leads us to one of Jung's most powerful insights about relationships: how projection works. Jung saw projection as an unconscious defense where we put onto others traits that actually belong to us, but that we've failed to see. Projection works both ways. We project both what we reject in ourselves and what we don't recognize about our potential. Think about someone who really gets under your skin. Maybe there's a co-worker whose arrogance drives you crazy. Or perhaps there's a family member whose neediness exhausts you. Jung would suggest that these strong reactions often point to projection. The challenging truth is that what annoys you most in others often reveals what you've disowned in yourself. The co-worker's arrogance may mirror an ambition within yourself that you've decided isn't okay. The family member's neediness might reflect your own unacknowledged needs for support and connection. This doesn't mean you're exactly like the people who trigger you. Often, projection works through opposites. If you've built your identity around being responsible and in control, you might project your disowned spontaneity onto irresponsible people who actually express a freedom you secretly want. The most destructive relationship projections often involve our parents. Without realizing it, we frequently put our unresolved parent issues onto our partners. If you had a critical father, you might be super sensitive to any hint of judgment from your partner. If you had a mother who was emotionally absent, you might see your partner's need for space as abandonment. Jung saw that most relationship conflicts are made worse by projection. When someone triggers you, you're rarely seeing them clearly. Instead, you're experiencing your own disowned stuff reflected back at you. The key to breaking this pattern is developing what Jung called shadow awareness. This means learning to ask, what part of myself might I be seeing here? This simple question starts the process of taking back your projection and owning your emotional reactions. When you catch projection happening in real time, you gain the freedom to respond thoughtfully rather than react blindly. You can begin to see others more clearly without the distortion of your own unresolved stuff clouding your vision. Jung believed that the journey toward wholeness, what he called becoming individuated, requires bringing these disowned parts of ourselves back into the fold. Integration doesn't mean acting out every impulse or becoming the things we fear. Rather, it means acknowledging these aspects, understanding their value, and finding healthy ways to express them. The process of integration transforms how you relate to yourself and, as a result, how you relate to others. When you embrace your own complexity, both light and shadow, you build a compassionate relationship with yourself that naturally extends to others. Jung outlined several practical paths to integration. First, pay attention to your dreams. Dreams often show shadow material through characters or situations that stir strong emotions. The aggressive stranger in your dream might represent your own buried anger. The helpless child might embody your unacknowledged vulnerability. Second, examine what triggers you. When someone causes a strong emotional reaction, use that as a chance for self-discovery. Ask yourself, what might this reveal about me? What disowned part of myself might I be facing? Third, try active imagination, a method Jung developed for having conversations with parts of your unconscious. This involves creating a dialogue with the parts of yourself you've rejected, allowing them to express their perspective and needs. Fourth, engage in creative expression. Art, writing, dance, and music can access and integrate shadow material that your conscious mind might otherwise reject. As you integrate these disowned aspects, you'll notice a profound shift in your relationships. You'll stop unconsciously seeking in others what you've rejected in yourself. You'll begin attracting people who mirror your wholeness rather than your wounds. Integration also changes how you experience conflict. Instead of seeing disagreements as threats to the relationship, you recognize them as opportunities to grow together. You develop the ability to make space for differences without feeling destabilized by them. Perhaps most importantly, integration enables real intimacy. When you hide parts of yourself, you create barriers to being truly known. As you reclaim these disowned aspects, you become able to show up more authentically, creating relationships based on truth rather than unconscious deals. The most important part of Jung's insights on love and relationships is understanding that self-love isn't a destination. It's the foundation from which real relationships grow. This isn't the superficial self-love pushed in popular culture. Jung was pointing to something much deeper, a transformed relationship with yourself that embraces both your light and shadow. When you truly integrate the disowned parts of yourself, you no longer seek in others what you've rejected within. You stop expecting relationships to complete you and instead approach them from a place of wholeness. This shift changes everything, transforming how you attract, build, and maintain connections. From this perspective, relationships become spaces for growing together rather than rescuing each other. You're no longer unconsciously trying to heal childhood wounds through your partner. Instead, you're present with what is, able to see others clearly rather than through the lens of projection. Jung noticed that this foundation of self-love creates a magnetic authenticity. You naturally attract people who resonate with your integrated self, rather than those who match your wounds. This doesn't mean relationships become perfect. They still require work, communication, and compromise. But they begin from a place of wholeness rather than lack. This approach to love also transforms how you handle relationship challenges. Instead of abandoning yourself to maintain connection, you remain grounded in your worth. Rather than using control to manage insecurity, you develop the ability to stay present with uncertainty. The practical application of this wisdom begins with a simple but powerful practice: developing awareness of yourself. This means learning to watch your reactions, projections, and patterns without immediately getting caught up in them. When you notice yourself being triggered, pause and ask, what part of myself might be activated here? Gradually, you'll develop the ability to make space for your full humanity, your brilliance and your brokenness, your wisdom and your wounds. As Leonard Cohen beautifully expressed it, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Your imperfections aren't obstacles to love. Properly understood, they're the very pathways through which real connection flows. Carl Jung's profound insight about love and relationships offers a path forward for anyone struggling with connection. By recognizing that what we seek in others often reflects what we've disowned in ourselves, we gain the power to transform our relationships from the inside out. Integration requires facing parts of ourselves we've spent a lifetime avoiding. It demands honesty, courage, and compassion. But the alternative is to remain caught in unconscious patterns, repeatedly creating connections that reflect our unresolved wounds rather than our true potential. The beautiful paradox that Jung discovered is this: when you no longer need others to complete you, you become capable of genuine connection. When you embrace your own complexity, you develop the capacity to truly see and appreciate the complexity in others. Your relationships then transform from unconscious repeats of old wounds into conscious partnerships built on authenticity, growth, and real intimacy. This is the essence of Jung's lesson on love. Not a trick to make others love you, but a profound shift in how you relate to yourself that naturally transforms how you relate to others. Remember, the quality of your relationships will always reflect the relationship you have with yourself. By integrating your shadow and embracing your wholeness, you create the foundation for the authentic love and connection you've always desired. If this perspective speaks to you, I invite you to begin this journey of integration. Notice your triggers, examine your patterns, and approach yourself with the same compassion you would offer a dear friend. As Jung himself said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. In becoming who you truly are, embracing all aspects of yourself, you create the conditions for love to flourish, both within and around you. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Carl Jung's essential lesson on love and connection. If you found value in these insights, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might benefit from it. Until next time, remember that the love you seek begins with embracing all of who you are.